Legendary Camilla is better on paper than in reality, but we're going to talk about where she shines, her performance in each mode, and the strategies that you can use against her, as well as the best units to counter her with. But if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below with the hashtag questions, and I will get to those as soon as possible. So I've got a showcase running, and this is Byleth supported by 6 different mythics, and Camilla without even a full team. What this really talks about here is the different ways that this can use damage, and you can do an AoE, then you can have before combat damage, then you can have during combat damage, and this unit is designed to try to get that double off. It is overwhelming if you look at it in a vacuum. Let's talk about the kit though. There are 3 things that really stick out about this kit, and the first is the massive amount of speed. That is really going to show up when we look at actual game footage here. The other is that out of combat damage that hits so hard and can't be stopped, and is just fantastic for chip damage in general. The last is the AoE piercing that she gives to both herself and units within 2 spaces that is going to be very powerful as a support. With that though, I really want to go into Aether raids and talk about how this unit is used. I'm finding the best spot for Camilla is in Astra season, and the real reason there is Freyr. She is very susceptible to any kind of debuffs, and Freyr removes those altogether. The issue that you're going to see is where she fits in best is with the flyer lines, and those are so easily player phased. The kinds of units that do best against her though are, well, really the winter units. So Dimitri is the first, and Dimitri is amazing because he can go in and actually take a hit if this unit has hardy bearing, and then vantage the rest of the team. It's kind of incredible, and generally only one unit is going to have that, and the rest of the units are going to be really focused on damaging. That's kind of spectacular. The next is of course Byleth, and Byleth is an amazing counter for a lot of different things, but Camilla kind of tings off of him even when full sabotage is in effect. Where this unit really shines is versus Omni tanks because they rely so heavily on damage reduction. Looking at Aether, you can really see that pop out. Yes, Aether won this, but when you bring her down to 14 health, it usually means the follow-up unit is going to take care of business. And that brings up another point. Camilla is not the best sole initiator. She really wants to work with other units that can complement her. In this case, you're going to see her working with Shamir, and she does very well with that unit. Another obviously is Sanaki, and I guess everyone works well with Duo Sanaki, but she can really take the top off a unit and then have Sanaki come and finish them off, or they can work together in some other fashion. The last thing here to look at is Corrin, and the real reason here is that Corrin needs speed. And this Corrin does not have enough speed to counter this plus 10 Camilla. You're not going to see plus 10 Camillas every time, but a lot of the ways that you would try to really chip away at Legendary Camilla's speed, you can't do that because of Freyr. Corrin really suffers here. We're going to talk about some other places where Corrin doesn't suffer so much though. Okay, we're going to talk about Aether Raid's offense and how you can really counter someone like Camilla. And the thing is, you really want to be able to divide and conquer. Tanking is not dead, and we already talked about how Vantage is very much alive. But what you really want to do is kind of take apart the defense. And the way we're doing that here is with Aether. Keep in mind that Aether is now available in both seasons, but by freezing Camilla out and forcing the dance on her, that means all that Byleth has to do is take out Hinoka, which he just did, and then Camilla. Now, this brings him down to a nice 6 HP, but he makes it. That's the thing here. So by only taking on 2 units, you can then take out the rest as they come. This is a real problem with flyer lines because they don't have a whole lot of overlap, and it's where Cam fits best right now. The other way you can look at this unit, there are a lot of folks who are using kind of a pseudo Catria ball, where they take their units and they clump them up into a corner. The big issue with those is they are so easy to player phase because you have time to set up. So either you're going to have her clumped and you're going to player phase her, or you're going to have her in something like this, and you're going to be able to kind of pick apart which units you can take on. Because for units like Byleth, you're going to need multiple nukes to be able to get to him. In some cases, 3 or 4, as we're seeing here. But if you're enjoying the content and you would like to see more of this, please hit the like button. It helps out the channel a ton. The next thing I want to look at is Summoner Duels, and I kind of had to redo the way that I simulate these matches. What I was finding is the standard way of giving everyone an Omni 6 just wasn't good enough on Summoner Duels because it doesn't really reflect what's going on. In Arena or in Aether raids, you have a lot of visible buffs. In Summoner Duels, you don't. And in fact, most of the time you have more debuffs than anything else. What I have found, and I've tested this out, is I'm giving everyone an Omni -7. This makes Unity very powerful, but that's reflective of the game mode right now. Unity is really nice to have. The first unit that I really want to talk about is Marth, and you can see that Maria had to save his butt. This is the Marth with the Legendary Robin and Fallen Maria support. But the thing is, he gets to Brave hit back and takes her out easily. That is really significant and means that Winter Marth is still around, although I will say the fact that he is being outsped now is dangerous and means that he will struggle more in the future. The next is, of course, Byleth. We've talked about Byleth is just the bane of Camilla's existence, and he has so much going for him that even the damage reduction halving that she has does not do the trick. Corrin is the interesting one, and this is a build from Soft Brilliant in the Discord that I really loved. You're essentially taking away her ability to retaliate altogether and just stacking Unity. And you can see she survives fairly handily. Remember, the point of saviors in Summoner Duels isn't really to kill another unit, it's to allow your other units to get in position. So if Corrin can take a hit and an action from another team, that is very valuable. The last one up here is Duma, and I want to say for the most part, Camilla takes care of miracle strategies pretty well. She just can't quite get through Duma. The problem is, and we talk about the whole 1-2 punch, and Duma is very weak to Legendary Crom. You combine Legendary Crom with Camilla and Duma has trouble. But you can see the standard miracle build on Tiki doesn't work in this case, and Camilla takes care of her very easily. The same can be said for Zelgius as well as Rudolph. Famortis actually survives this, but I believe if you have triangle attack, he crumbles pretty easily. This is a Summoner Duels team that I put together just to kind of test out Camilla and compare her results to simulation, just to see how good she actually was. I was surprised at how she doesn't play quite as fast in Summoner Duels as she does in the simulations, as for all the reasons we talked about. She's just very delicate when it comes to any kind of debuffs. What you're going to see here is Corrin absolutely standing up, and she survives with, I believe we're coming up here, but about 9 health, which is very low, but the fact is, she did survive. There we go, 7 health. What we're seeing here is a unit that is very fast, that is outspeeding Cam, and if you can do that, you're in good shape. The problem is there are very few units that really can do that. Also, that Surtur was kind of amazing. So the last thing I want to talk about is Arena Duels, and stick with me because this has a very good point to it. And the first thing you're going to notice is the margins just being razor thin for both Valadar and Marla. These are 2 different builds that you can use. The problem is I'm calling them free to play because they're Grail units, but they end up having about 800 orbs worth of fodder on them, which is ridiculous. That is so expensive. You can also see that Lapis just cannot get enough speed. It is almost impossible without some kind of support. The thing with any of your armors is that you're not going to be able to get piercing easily, and because of that, most of them are just going to crumble. What I really want to look at is a couple of these check marks, and the first is Cyril. The real point with Cyril is you can player phase Camilla very easily, and that's something to keep in mind. They are definitely rewarding more melee units right now with the DC seal that's going to increase their scoring, but the ranged units just do so well at the hit and run strategies that make Arena easier. Cyril is a good part of that, and understand that that's probably my favorite way to deal with this unit, especially looking at those margins. The last is kind of weird, and I've got Zephyia up here. Understand that Zephyia herself does not do this, Zephyia combined with these other units that you're looking at does, except for Murdoch. The thing is, again, Camilla is not a very robust unit. You look at someone like Legendary Robin, and the thing is, you can throw anything at him and he just gets stronger. It's why he has been so dominant for the past year. Same with units like Duo Asker or Emir. They serve multiple purposes because they have so much bulk. Camilla is very, very delicate, and just a panic and all of the things that Zephyia provides takes her down to the point where Lapis actually gets enough speed that she can double back and survive. Because she has piercing, she doesn't kill, but just being able to survive that first hit, being able to draw out a unit is very valuable in Arena. Let's look real quickly and see how this plays out. And I know Alir isn't Lapis, but understand that I have only one game mode next to her instead of the 3 that it takes to fully speed her up. But this still makes the point. You're going to see Cam come in, and Cam doubles here. She is going to absolutely demolish Alir in one shot. We're done. So let's take our stand-in Zephyia, and all we're gonna do is move the panic manner so that all of the buffs are reversed on Camilla. And that is all it takes for Alir to handily beat her. And I'm gonna say handily carefully. I mean, she can beat her with 7 HP left. But that's what I'm talking about here. In any of these game modes, if you can get debuffs on Camilla, understand that once you outspeed her, she gets less out of combat damage and everything kind of falls apart. It is a very nice way to go about it, and that is why I think Astra Season is probably her strongest area, because coupled with Freyr, she does so well. It's also why I think Attack Speed Unity in Summoner Duels is going to be her best A skill. So let's bring this all around. The first thing is, in Summoner Duels, Hardy Fighter is probably going to be back. The miracle builds that we've been seeing so much of, Camilla handles a lot of those, and it's going to make them weaker. The next thing is Byleth just, I mean, as if his value wasn't high enough, now it is even higher. And then of course, if you have Corrin, you can get enough speed to where Camilla doesn't double, and again, that takes away a lot of her out of combat damage and really makes her mortal again. In Aether raids, we talked about Vantage, and Dimitri is the absolute best there. My Discord would absolutely kill me if I didn't mention that Brave Marth is also an excellent unit against her, believe it or not, and is increasing in value every day with a lot of the archetypes that are gaining strength. The last thing is Aether, and the big thing here is being able to shut off a unit, being able to pick and choose who is going up against you is incredibly powerful and kind of a big deal in Aether raids right now for any kind of tanking strats. I didn't mention it, but also player phasing is amazing, and if you want to just go Edelgard all over this unit, she does very well. As far as Arena goes, I continue to be impressed by Valadar. I like the unit a lot, and I think he provides a lot of support and other great things to your other units. As a score bot, I'm a big fan. We talked about Zephyia and how she is also good because of all of the debuffs she can bring. If you'd like to see more of the countering series, I just did one on the buy list, which was a lot of fun. Go check that out. Members, you are amazing and let me do so much of this testing. Thank you for all that you do. Take care and schedule an appointment with your FEHologist real soon.